This is Rounding Third, Boston Podcast. Harrison Smith and Nick Arno are breaking down every pitch, every game, and every series. Live every week. This is your home for all things Red Sox. Let's talk.
Welcome back into Rounding Third, Boston, episode 10. Red Sox have a tough week. I'm Nick, and we have Harrison. How are we doing, Harrison?
I mean, better than the Red Sox. How about you?
Good. I mean, it feels like my work week. I salvaged a couple days, and that's about it.
Yeah, I mean that was like the most realistic, life experience ever.
Yeah,
This week was brutal. You just kept getting kicked when you were down.
Yeah, salvaged a couple and moving on to the next week. But
yeah, on to Cincinnati.
Right. Yeah. We'll get into it, but first, make sure you follow and like us on Facebook. You can subscribe on YouTube. You can follow on Instagram, Rumble, TikTok. You can also listen on Spotify and Apple Podcasts or wherever you get your podcasts. We have our affiliate sponsors. We can find these links at the tops of all of our socials. So Dick's Sporting Goods, MLB Shop, and Lids. You can purchase things from these companies, and we get a nice little kickback with no additional cost to you. So please go ahead, click those links, and help support the podcast. You guys buy stuff from these companies anyways, so you might as well do it through us. And thank you to everyone who has. We also have our Rounding Third store on Etsy, Rounding Third Baseballs. You can find all the merch there. You can come on, support us. You look great in a t-shirt, sweatshirt, getting our name out there and supporting us at the same time. So please check that out. All right. On to the week. We're going to start with the Blue Jays at the Red Sox here. Red Sox lose 3 out of 4 to the Jays. The only game they won, Story hit a walk-off squibbler with the bases loaded. They've
really
had a hard...
crushed it.
God, all of it, for sure. Sox have had a hard time putting up runs in this series ever since that onslaught of the Cardinals on Sunday night. Does this, like the overall summary of this series and the look of how the Red Sox look during the series, does this series give you any cause for concern early on?
I mean, the series as a whole or any particular part of it?
I mean, just like the series as a whole, does it give you... I mean, the Blue Jays are... I mean, they're a decent team. I wouldn't call them upper echelon in the AL, but looking at that series as a whole, does that give you any concern for the Red Sox going forward? I know it's early. I know it's really early, but does it cause any concern?
I mean, I think it definitely exposed some issues the Red Sox have. First of all, clutch hitting is still a problem. Runners in scoring position to start the year was terrible. Then it got better for a little while, and it's back to being terrible again. The defense was really shoddy. I will say the pitching looked better in this series. I mean, Buehler was much better. Houck was also better, and he got a little deeper in the game. Crochet was Crochet, and Fitz was also pretty good. So I think the pitching was better. Clutch hitting is still not good. The defense is still not good. So I think I come out of there. I don't feel any worse about this team. I think, but we are starting to see some trends continue. It's been more than just a week now. You're seeing that they consistently can't hit with runners in scoring position. You're seeing that they consistently can't get that big hit. You're seeing the struggles defensively. They strike out too much. I mean, this is a team that, we knew it going into the season. We said this was not a perfect team. They were better, but they are definitely, we're seeing some real trends pop out.
Yeah, for me, the first couple weeks of the season, it has been the glaring warning sign for me is what you said, the clutch hitting. The runners in scoring position and the offers that they're putting up is very concerning to me. And in some of those plays, just like you said, you just got to make contact and put it in play and get the run across. That's it. That's all you got to do. And they haven't been able to do that. I mean, the first couple series, they were 0 for 28 or something like that. I mean, it was not good.
No, and the Trevor Story walk-off is the best example of that. He didn't get any of it, but it was still enough to put the ball in play and move the runners around. They walked off because of it.
Right.
It doesn't have to be a 110-mile-per-hour exit velo liner in the gap. Sometimes just making contact is all it takes.
Yeah. How about them White Sox? Yeah, you're right. The White Sox had a good series. We're actually going to get into them right now. So Red Sox at the White Sox. They only scored 3 runs in the first 2 games of the series. Only scored 3 today. White Sox win the first game 11-1. I'm going to be honest. I didn't see much of this game. I was working, but I'm kind of glad I missed it. Just kind of went through the recap of it. White Sox win on a walk-off win in game 2. That officially makes it the first series the White Sox have won all year. And then the Red Sox salvage game 3 behind Crochet, who absolutely went back to Chicago and dealt.
Nasty.
So, yeah, no hit through 7 1/3 innings. And then Trevor Story drove in all 3 RBIs for the Red Sox. So Story's home run today to make it 3-1 is the first home run since last Sunday against the Cardinals. So a little power outage for the Red Sox last week too also kind of hurts.
Yeah, I mean it's a team built to hit, to run, to have some power, and they've done none of it. And honestly, like the Friday night game against the White Sox, where Sean Newcomb was pitching really well until the Red Sox defense imploded with 5 errors. I mean, it was 2 in the same inning.
Yeah.
It was Red Sox first 5-error game since August of 2021. The only run they scored came on a Blake Sable sacrifice fly. They did nothing in that game. They couldn't catch, they couldn't throw, they couldn't hit. Poor Sean Newcomb, who was pitching really well, had his whole night ruined when they couldn't catch the ball anymore. It's, again, it's more of the same trend. They get guys on, they can't move them over. Nobody's coming up with a big hit. Thankfully today, Trevor Story basically was the whole offense. It was Trevor Story 3, White Sox 1. It was Trevor Story and Garrett Crochet. It was a 2-man show. And it just can't be like that.
No,
You're not going to go that far this year if you're constantly relying on just a couple of guys every night.
No. The Sean Newcomb one, that one was a tough pill to swallow because he was throwing pretty well.
He was.
And the first ball that got by Casas I think it was ruled a base hit, to be honest. I think he still could have gotten it.
Yeah.
Whatever.
It may not be an error, but it's a play you think he's going to make.
Right. And then the second one is he's trying to pivot to turn a double play, as he should, right? He's turning glove side, he muffs it, and then when he goes to pick it up, he kicks it, and then he tries to pick it up again, and he misses it, and it's just like, oh my God, here we go. Like, exactly. And then it just unraveled from there, and it's too bad because Newcomb had a decent start. Like he looked good. Like that's all you're wanting your starters to get. If you're the Boston Red Sox, if you're telling me my starter's only given up 2 runs in 5+ innings, I'm taking it every time because you're thinking this offense could easily put up 3 runs a game. And I mean, it's baseball. I get it. Sometimes you don't. Sometimes the opposition does shut you down. Now the White Sox do have good young arms. They have good pitching there. It's just their offense, other than Chase Midroth, who's was in that Crochet deal, absolutely killed the Red Sox this series. I don't think he got out once. And he's the one that broke up Crochet's no-hitter. So he got out the first time he was up. I'm wrong. But then he was the one that broke up Crochet's no-hitter. So the Red Sox prospect that you traded for Crochet broke up his no-hitter in the 7th.
It's insane. And in case anybody was wondering, I've heard a lot of comments about the White Sox pitching. People are like, oh, it's overblown, they're not that good. The White Sox, as of today, have given up the fewest runs in the American League.
Yeah.
They have been a surprise, absolutely. But we also knew that they had a lot of young players coming. That's why we weren't expecting this team to be as bad as last year. We thought they would improve with all the young talent coming. I just didn't think we'd see these guys come in April and pitch like they have. And they've been very good. And as a Red Sox fan, other than Friday night where the Red Sox just absolutely gave the game away, although they only scored 1 run, so it doesn't matter. The White Sox played really well. They caught the ball, they threw the ball, they pitched well, and they hit just enough to win. And that works.
I mean, as crappy as a position the White Sox are in, they're also in a uniquely good position. Now, follow me for a second. Like, no one expects them to win. So there's
No.
literally no pressure on them to go out and just play balls to the wall every night. There really isn't.
No, they're
And
playing
as
with
a
house money.
exactly. And as a team going in, sometimes those are dangerous teams to face. Being like, oh, these guys have nothing to lose at all. Right? So they're going to run more. They're going to put more pressure on. They're going to, push the line, push the envelope even more. And sometimes that can put you back on your heels. Like, you're going in expecting to just roll over these guys. And sometimes you play down to their level. And the White Sox are taking that at this moment and running with it. And they're just saying, like, hey, let's just go out and play our game and beat them. And they have been. So good for them. But the Red Sox week as a whole was terrible. Not good.
It's a week that I'd like to kind of forget. I think they'd like to forget. This is, as we've said in the show many, many times, this is one where you go back, you puke it out, and you move on to the next one, and just leave this whole week behind you. You went from the high of St. Louis, where against the Cardinals, where you absolutely murdered that team. You destroyed that team. You put up a week's worth of runs, apparently, in that weekend series, and then came back and laid flat for the whole rest of the week. They were 2-4 this week. I mean,
yeah, not good.
Or 2-7. That doesn't get it done.
2-7.
Yeah,
no.
That doesn't get it done. And
no.
And we always said, in order for the Red Sox to win the division, you have to win the games you're supposed to win.
Yeah.
And the games you're supposed to win are, you have to take at least 2 out of 3 from Chicago, which you didn't do. And you've got to at least split, if not take 3 out of 4 from Toronto, which you also didn't do. Like,
Right.
These are the stretches that in April you go, no big deal. That you look back on September and go, man, if we just pulled one of those games out.
Right.
And that's baseball.
Yep.
It
you
is.
Lose.
It's a game of inches, and it's a game of what ifs, and what if I had that one game back?
Yeah, you get to September and you're half game out of the wild card, and you're like, God dang, those two Casas errors in April killed us. And I'm sure there's going to be other things throughout the year that also cost them the season. I'm not saying it's just that one.
No, but these are the kind of weeks you look back on and go, man, I wish we had that one back.
Yeah, just one of those games. Just give us one of those games back that we should have won and we didn't. Which every baseball team has those games. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah, that's baseball.
I would rather lose 11-1 and know that I'm completely out of it and I just got my teeth kicked in, than to lose a 3-2 ball game on a walk-off single because we committed 5 errors. Like, that one's a tough pill to swallow. I can handle my ass getting kicked, but if we lost because we threw the ball around the yard more than we hit the ball around the yard, then it's tougher to swallow.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. It's tough when the close one gets away.
Yeah.
I mean, not that it's fun to get your head kicked in, but at the same time, it's easy to just kind of shake that one off and move on. It's the walk-offs, it's the one-run games. Those are the ones that stick with you and they haunt you a little bit. Yeah. But in all this, though, Nick, I kind of look at where the Red Sox are, and the one player we keep mentioning is Tristan Casas. He's hitting $185, not making a lot of great contact, struggling in the field. What is going on with Tristan Casas? Is this just a rough start to the season? Is this a regression of where he was? Where are we at with him?
Man, I don't know. He's a tough one for me. I hope he's not turning into that Bobby Dahlbeck type of hitter where he has a week where he just is on fire, right? He's 5 home runs, drives in 10, and then the next week, 2 weeks, he strikes out 25 times. Like, I want to say that Casas is a developing superstar because I think he has something. He's got it in there somewhere. We've seen it. We've seen flashes of brilliance from him. I don't know. I'm kind of lost with him. I don't know if he feels the pressure of all the young kids behind him, like, ready to go. And we'll get to Roman Anthony in a minute. I don't know if he's feeling that at all, but he's got to get out of that 4 hole. What does he do? He's still sitting in that 4 hole.
Yeah,
move Bregman up in that 4. I get the lefty righty, or whatever you want to do there, which actually you're going. Oh yeah, you are going lefty righty
yep.
there, but man, I don't know. It's tough. I don't know what to do with him. I'm lost with him.
Yeah, and I can appreciate Alex Cora sticking with him. You know, you're our guy. We're going to ride with you, et cetera, et cetera. But at the same time, at some point, you got to look and say, look, we're 2.5 weeks into the season. You're still doing nothing. You know, we need to shift things. And coming off a week like this, where you scored, what was it, 11 runs plus what they scored today? You've scored 14 runs in 7 games. You went 2-5 in those 7 games. You scored 14 runs. Now is the time where you puke it out and you start fresh and you shake the lineup up. Now is the time to move people around and say, okay, guys that are hitting, sliding up, guys that aren't, sliding down. We'll figure it out.
Yeah.
You know, Rafaela was a bright spot this week. He had a good week. You know, maybe he needs to jump a couple spots up in the lineup and Casas goes down. You know, this is where Alex Cora needs to prove his value. This is where he's got to come in and shake this team up and get them back on track, because going 2-5 against those two teams, this is a week that'll haunt you all season.
Yep. Yeah. And I mean, Campbell continues to stay hot. He's reached safely in all 16 games now. So he's just continuing to get on base.
It's like we don't even talk about him anymore because he's just going out there and playing every day and doing what needs to get done. Like,
yeah, he's amazing to watch. But to go back to Casas, I don't know. I don't know what to do.
Yeah, I'm lost. I find myself getting more and more frustrated with him. I just can't figure out what's going on.
Agree. All right, let's get into like all the other stuff. So Crochet's first start back in Chicago, 7 1/3 no-hit innings, 11 Ks. Definitely cemented himself as the stopper in this rotation. The Red Sox have missed this in, I can't even remember how many years, since we've had somebody that can come in and stop the bleeding. And that's exactly what Crochet did. Just came in and dealt. I listened to the post-game conference with Cora, and he goes, you know, he was asked about the no-hitter. He's like, he was at 95 pitches. He's like, but he was feeling good. I want him to go out and have a chance to chase history. He's like, but at the same time, he's like, I'm secretly hoping he gives up a hit, because then that kind of takes that decision off my plate. I can just go get him. Like, hey, bud, you're done. And I like that from Alex Cora, being so open and just being like, yeah, listen, we were sitting there and we were talking about it in the 5th. We were talking about it in the 6th, and we're watching the scoreboard, watching the pitch count go up and up and up. And we're like, now what do we do? Do we let him go back out? Or like, all right, send him out for the 7th. And Cora's like, just give up a hit, please. just so I can go get you.
Well, that's
because he goes, if this guy goes out, it's going to be a uphill battle for us. So he knows the importance of Crochet and stopping that little skid. And it's good for the Red Sox to get a win, now getting back on the plane to head to Tampa or St. Pete or wherever they're playing.
Tampa. They're actually in Tampa. The Tampa Bay Rays are actually playing in Tampa.
Yeah. But I love that this guy has absolute ice in his veins. He could have been completely ramped up for this game, coming back to Chicago, the team that gave him the shot to be in the bigs, to develop. And he just went in there and just absolutely mowed him down. Yep. Like it wasn't too much for him.
Good question, or good thing from John here in the comments. You know, somebody's going to pay for this week, and we certainly hope it is Tampa Bay. We hope this is the wake-up call they need to go and play some better baseball.
Yep.
And the question about Devers, is Devers still going through his hitting slump? No, he broke out of that slump. He's not exactly lighting the world on fire, but he's brought his average up to 234, and he's hitting again.
Which is saying something, because he's hit like 500 this past week, and he's still sitting at 234. That's how bad it was. But
he was 0 for his first 19, and then 10 for his next 19, and then he's been hitting relatively consistently since then.
Yeah, so I think Devers is fine. And we've said it before, like Devers wasn't chasing bad pitches. Like he wasn't pressing at the plate. His timing was just all jacked up. So it wasn't necessarily like a slump per se, as much as like he just couldn't touch anything. He just didn't have the timing. I call a slump where like guys are just flailing and just swinging at everything, trying to make something happen.
Yeah.
I mean, is 0 for 21 a slump? Yeah, absolutely. but his knowledge of the strike zone, he was still drawing a ton of walks during that time. He just couldn't make contact with the ball, but he is back. So that's good.
I mean, thank goodness they had Crochet to get them off of this skid against the White Sox. I mean, man,
yeah,
White Sox are a juggernaut, and sadly, the Red Sox end the week next week with the White Sox coming to town. So let's mark your calendars. That could be another battle.
Yep. So Richard Fitz has been throwing decently for first couple starts for the Sox. He's doing what the Sox are asking him to do. He's going out, he's eating innings, and he's throwing the ball pretty well. He did leave his last start with shoulder pain. I think he was through 5. He kind of threw a last pitch and just kind of like sort of hung his arm there, but tried to like shake it off. But they were coming out to get him anyways. So we'll keep an eye on that. But hopefully Bayo and Giolito will be back soon. And then, that kind of takes care of itself there. What's the timetable on those two? Do we know?
I've not seen any updates on them. Bayo was supposed to be sometime in the next few days. Originally was expected to be back in kind of mid-April. I've not heard any updates. I'll look. And Giolito, I believe, was May was the original plan for him.
Okay. And I know the hamstring injury kind of set him back a little bit more. So I don't know.
Yeah, his timing's a bit in question just because he's got other issues.
Yeah.
So Bayo went 4 innings and struck out 5 in Worcester today. He won't join. Okay, so they just said that earlier today he's not going to join the Red Sox this week. They're going to push him out another week. So Bayo is probably late April then.
So he'll come back for the Fenway series most likely. He'll just drive over from Worcester.
Yeah,
that would make sense.
So not this week, next week.
Sounds good. So
you're talking the last week of April. He probably comes up.
Yeah. All right, Connor Wong placed on the IL, broken finger. Sox sign Yasmani Grandal in place. So he's down in AAA right now. Narvaez is expected to make most of the starts. I know we saw Blake Sable, but goodness gracious. I don't know if you saw him receiving the other day. Sable was not pretty there at all. This is a pretty big loss for the Sox, although Narvaez has had a pretty good start, and I don't mind him behind the dish at all. I like how he handles the pitchers. He's putting in good at bats. I don't mind it at all. And Grandal has been there for years. He knows what to do. So if he's coming up in a backup role, I don't mind that either. So
you say he's been around for years. That's kind of an understatement. Isn't this dude like older than us?
No, he's not that old.
He's mid-30s.
Yeah, he wouldn't be catching anymore.
He's just been around a long time. But I remember when I saw the notification, I sent you a message. I'm like, Yasmani Grandal, like what is going on here?
Yeah.
But it's an experienced guy, been there, done that. He was a solid guy. He was never necessarily excellent. He had some years where he was really good, but always a solid guy.
No, agree.
Never a bad idea to have a guy like that floating around.
All right. Quinn Priester traded to the Brewers for outfielder Yoferi, I think. Yoferi Rodriguez and a draft pick. So, yeah, I mean, you gave up Nick York to get Quinn Priester to just kind of turn him around for another outfield prospect. Now, this guy is a raw prospect. You said what, high A right now?
Yeah, so he's the number 7 overall prospect in the Padres system. He's in high A ball, putting up good numbers, but he's young. Young.
Well, he was in the Padres system. Then he went over to the Brewers because that's where Priester
I'm sorry.
is, unless that was a.
Yep, sorry, not Padres, Brewers. I'm my wrong team. Sorry, yeah, it's number 7 prospect in the Brewers system. And in high A ball, putting up good numbers. They expect he's projected to have a pretty high ceiling, but again, very young. He's a long way out.
Yeah.
So really, the Red Sox spun Nick York, who was a kind of an upper level prospect for them, to Pittsburgh for Priester, who was a kind of a reclamation project, and they turned him into a higher prospect that's farther out. So, at the end of the day, you still didn't get a lot for York, but you at least added somebody else to the pipeline who's got a high ceiling.
and a draft pick. So we'll see what that turns into later. But
I always laugh about the draft picks because, as we all know, draft picks in baseball are such a crapshoot. Like
yeah, absolutely.
the number of number one picks that actually make it to the major leagues is so astonishingly low.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It just is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right.
John Grandal, he's
Yeah.
one of those guys that every time you think he's gone, somebody calls him because
Yep.
he has just enough value to keep hanging around.
Well, yeah, he had all those years in Chicago and then with the White Sox and then just kind of bounced around and, was still floating out there. But all right. Roman Anthony is absolutely destroying AAA.
Shocking.
I'm bringing this question back that you asked me a couple weeks ago, Harrison. Do we see him in the MLB this year?
I mean, do we need to see him in MLB this year? No. Do we see him? I think we do. I mean, I think that it's inevitable. Somebody's going to get hurt. Somebody's going to need to move around. They're going to have to make a trade to fill a hole. I do think you're going to see Anthony at the major league level at some point. I just don't know how long he stays. Because I feel like with how crowded that outfield is, Duran's not going to sit. Rafaela's not going to sit. Abreu's not going to sit. So where does that leave Anthony? And you don't want Anthony playing twice a week.
No.
So I feel like the Red Sox are in this really tough spot of he needs at bats, he needs seasoning. He can't do that up here because he's not going to get the time he needs. So unless somebody is dealt, then I think he's going to be a guy who fills in for an injury or something like that. But it's tough. If he played first base, we might see him now. But he doesn't. He doesn't play a position of need. And Craig Breslow was asked about him on Friday, and he said, look, Roman Anthony's down there with a very, very distinct plan of what he want him to do. We want him to continue to see at bats. We want to see more lefty on lefty at bats because that's an area of struggle for him. And we want to see him improve in those areas. And when he does, he'll come up. Until he does, he won't. Like we have a plan for him.
Okay. Fair enough.
I can appreciate that.
Absolutely.
At the same time, Breslow's whole thing was we want him here. We just need to see some improvement in certain areas to feel comfortable. When he gets here, he can stay here.
And that's the thing too, is I don't want him ending up like Jackson Holiday. Now, like Holiday's been a great player for I wouldn't say great, but he's been serviceable for the Orioles. He does what he needs to do. But they brought him up too early. They had to ship him back down. Like, I don't want that with Anthony. I'm with Breslow here. If you're bringing him up, he needs to stay. And he needs to be ready to stay. Because we've seen it with guys over the years in the Red Sox systems. We've brought him up, we've sent him down. We've brought him up, we've sent him down. Bobby Dahlbeck, we keep saying he's the perfect quadruple A player. Way too good for AAA, not good enough for the MLB.
Yeah, and it's worth noting too that Roman Anthony doesn't even turn 21 until next month.
Right.
He's still very young. Interesting rumor, though, that came out over the weekend is that apparently the Red Sox have made some calls looking for a potential landing place for Yoshida and potentially offering Rafaela in a package to make it sweet enough to take him. That would open a spot for Roman Anthony. And the question becomes, what do you get back?
Yeah, I'm shipping him to John's territory. Listen, Brian Wu just had a ridiculous start for the Mariners out there.
Yep.
If he's available, I'm shipping a couple of hitters out there to Seattle to get some pitching back because it's a question mark now with Fitz. It's a question mark with Giolito and Bayo when they come back.
Yeah, so Giolito looks like he and Bayo are on the same time frame. They're both going to be back before the month is over. It's just they want to give Giolito one more start, which would be Tuesday, I think, and then they'll reevaluate sending him up, and then Bayo's going to be maybe another week behind him.
Just can't bank on him, though. That's the thing. It's like
even when they get here, what are you going to get? Like, you just don't know.
Yeah, I would send him out for starting pitching, or maybe there's a huge bat out there that's looking to move. I don't know, but to make a spot for Anthony, I like Rafaela. I love the spark he brings. But if you ship him out, get Anthony up here, you move Duran to center, you're really not losing anything, to be honest.
No. It's a great idea unless Anthony comes up and struggles.
Yeah.
And then you're going to look like a fool. And I think that is where Breslow is at right now. Like, I need to see Roman Anthony tear AAA apart and prove to me without a shadow of doubt that he's ready before I pull the trigger on a trade like that. Because if I get this wrong, I will screw the whole season up.
Yeah, it's fair.
But
I
if you can
agree.
get a Brian Wu or something like that in return, I will help him pack his bags.
Ric Flair's favorite pitcher. Woo! Nice. All right. So the Clubhouse, it's on Netflix. It came out last Tuesday. I've seen the first 4 episodes. I'm not fully through it, but Jaron Duran comes out and really speaks about his mental health in the series, and it's really good. I'm at kind of like the darkest part of where he was going with it, but it does bring the mental health aspect of baseball to the forefront. And it's a great look of what the players deal with on a daily basis. Like, these guys are mic'd up and they're on the field, and you can hear all the ridiculous stuff that fans are shouting at these guys. And it's like mind-blowing that people pay money to see these guys play. And I get it. We're all passionate about sports. We're all passionate about baseball, especially Red Sox fans. We love our Sox. We hate it when they lose, but we still love them. But we will tell them when they're losing, and we're not nice about it. And I hate that, because these are kids, right? You think about it. They're kids. What were you doing at 21, 22? Were you in front of 40,000 plus people every night? No. None of us were. Nobody's ever felt that pressure.
I was trying to keep the drunks in my dorm dorm building from tearing the place to the ground.
Exactly. So I think it's important for fans to see the people and not just the players. And it's wild. I mean, just to watch that and to hear some of the stuff that the fans are saying and screaming at these guys in the middle of a game. Like, I mean, we've all been to a major league game. We know what's been said.
Oh yeah, you can hear the stuff in the bleachers. I have not taken my kids to a Red Sox game yet because I just don't think they're ready to be exposed to that.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like it's uncalled for. Like, this is crazy. This isn't acceptable. It's not acceptable. I mean, at any level and for any sport, it really isn't. Like, it's entertainment for us. Yeah. And like, yes, we're passionate. I get it. But there's no need for it. And to drive certain players to the edge where they're thinking about, killing themselves, like that's an issue.
Yep.
And it needs to stop. So
yeah. Well, and you think about it, like Durant, we had the whole catch thing where fans got on him.
Yeah.
He was hearing that from everywhere. I mean, yeah, we didn't like mail him letters, but we were obviously, mad about it. He heard about that for a while.
Yeah.
And had to overcome the stigma of being that guy.
Yep. So I'm really hoping like it really starts to pick up here in the next 4 episodes, but it's been pretty mind-opening watching the first 4. And it's really cool to get a behind the scenes look. And there's not a ton of like on-field stuff, which is cool. Like, it's actually behind the scenes. So I really like that.
Yeah. And I think people forget, to your point, I think people forget that these are regular people. Like, when they leave the ballpark, they get in their car, although it might be a nicer car than ours. They go home, they go to, they have dinner, they go to bed, they've got families, they've got friends, they have an off season. These are regular people.
Yeah. Well, they show Jaron Duran leaves the game and his Bronco won't start. So him and Cassis are like underneath the car trying to figure out like what's going on. And like they're ordinary people. They're like, it's crazy. And John,
go ahead.
Oh, this is a great point. I thought fans all across sports would have changed after the Malice in the Palace. I mean, that was brutal. But I mean, it gets to a point where it's like, dude, enough is enough, man. I'm going to come in and beat your face in if you don't stop. And Braun Artest isn't the guy I'd get in front of, but
you mean World Peace?
Whatever. Yeah, it's just, it's crazy. It needs to stop. There's no excuse for it.
And I think as much crap as we give Anthony Rendon, he had the situation with the fan where he reached up and tried to grab him out of the bleachers. But, if you hear what the fan was actually saying to him, like, you can understand why a guy would finally just have enough. Like, you want to sit there and talk tough? Come down here and talk tough to me.
Yep.
And it's the same reaction any man would have, in that same situation. Like, you want to talk tough? Then come down and talk to me.
Yep.
I'll rearrange your face.
Yep. But listen, I've also heard
it.
many women talk like that too. So
There's true.
Not just men, but
that is true. But I think, you look at these kind of testosterone up guys, they're
for sure.
For sure. That's a moment where, they're going to fight.
Yep. Agree.
I mean, we even see it on the page sometimes, Nick. We'll have people in the comments, telling us, saying all kinds of things about us. Like then we respond. It's like they remember that we're human beings, and then it's all good again.
Yeah.
But like people forget when you're watching somebody through a screen or something like that there's actually a human being on the other side of that.
Right. Yeah. The defense. All right. So we were just kind of trying to stay positive here, and then I bring it back down.
Yeah. Gee, thanks, Nick.
So the Red Sox were supposed to be upgraded on the defensive front, and instead they lead the league in errors. Will this improve as we kind of settle in? I mean, we've played a lot of different people at a lot of different positions at the beginning of the year. We quite haven't settled into positions really, other than Story and Bregman on that left side. I mean, you
still have a lot of floating around. You still have a lot of guys that are shifting position to position night to night, but your biggest defensive problems haven't been those guys. Honestly, your biggest defensive problem has been Tristan Casas, who's played first base his whole life.
Yeah.
And I do think part of what happened last week is kind of a spiral of being in that losing thing where you're trying to do too much. You're trying to make a bigger play than you have to. You're trying to rush it because you can't afford to not get the out. There's a level of that, but I mean, the defensive issues fall squarely on Alex Cora. We said it last year, and the Red Sox were struggling defensively. It falls on the manager. Alex Cora was more of a defensive specialist in his career.
Right.
These guys should be ready to play defensively. They should have their positioning cards ready. They should be physically ready to go, mentally ready to go. They should be in better position than they've been in. And they're trying to make plays off balance. Like it's just sloppy. It's sloppy. It's rushed. And at times it looks lazy. Like Casas looks lazy at times. Yeah. And that is squarely on Cora to fix. He needs to be out there getting these guys going and getting them back on solid footing on defense. Because right now they're flailing and it's not good.
Agree.
So will it improve? Yeah, I think it'll improve. It has to though. Like there's no like, can we get away with this? You can't.
No.
You just can't.
You just pretty much summed it up nicely there. So I'm not going to add anything. So, all right. Where will the Red Sox go from here? Pretty generic question.
It is. And I feel like this is one of those where, it's have you hit rock bottom yet? Like, have they hit a spot where they can rebound? I hope so. This week you go to Tampa to start it off. That's not going to be an easy series. And then you go home to the White Sox, which you'd think would be an easy series, but it wasn't in Chicago. So you've got, you're going to get Crochet once this week. You're going to see Walker Buehler twice this week. You've got hopefully some clutch hitting that's just waiting to emerge. But if they don't play better, it's going to be another week just like that. And these, John nailed it.
It's fun.
These guys need to take a deep breath and just go back to playing baseball. Like puke this week out like it didn't happen and move on and start fresh. But just get back into what is the thing that I need to do? Where does the play go? Where's the ball need to go? What am I doing when the ball is hit to me? Like just get back to the super basics because right now they don't seem to know.
Yeah, I can handle physical mistakes every day. It's the mental ones that drive me nuts. Like you got a runner going first to third and you try to hose him out at third and the trail runner takes second base. Now you got two runners in scoring position. Like that's Little League 101. It's like, hey, hit your cutoff or throw it to second base. When in doubt, throw it to second base and keep the runner on first. Sets up a double play, sets up the force play. That's it. And they're not doing that. They're just trying to make the big play, hose them out at the plate, hose them out at third. Runners are taking extra bases. They're giving up extra runs. Yeah. Saw that numerous times this week.
Yeah. And that's the thing. Like it's more than just the errors. Errors are errors. And half the errors are just like physically stupid errors. Like you pivoted wrong. You made a bad throw. That stuff happens. But it's more so what you're talking about, which is not an error. It's just a bad decision. Yeah. But those pile up. And now all of a sudden you got guys on second and third and you didn't have to.
Right.
You've lost a chance for a double play. Now you can't get out of the inning. It's that kind of stuff that's piling up on them. It's errors are one thing, but it's bad decisions and sloppy play that's making it worse. And these poor pitchers, they are they're doing what they can, but you're not giving them much to work with.
Yeah, agree. All right, Boston trivia real quick. All right, Harrison put these together for me, so here we go.
We got a few trivia questions and a few who is that guy for you, Nick. So
great. Here we go.
Let's do it. All right. Who holds the record for saves in a single season for the Red Sox?
Well, Lee Smith was there. Papelbon?
Not Papelbon.
Really? Single season. Would it be Gordon?
It is Gordon.
No.
It is Tom Gordon, 46 saves and a 2.72 ERA in 1998. Papelbon never got past 41, I believe, was where he capped out.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So Tom Gordon, 1998, 46 saves, all-time single-season record for the Red Sox.
My second one was going to be 04 with Folk. I wonder how many he saved that year.
Yeah, when you look around, he only had like 30-something saves, I want to say. Folk never saved a ton of games, which is always weird to me.
Yeah.
Jansen's not a bad guess.
No.
He had 20-something twice, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah, Tom Gordon, Flash, who was a starter and then ended up becoming a really good reliever for a few years.
Yeah, sure. All right.
All right, this one's fun. Who's the only Red Sox player to hit for the cycle twice?
Is it Holt?
It's not, but a good guess.
It's Dorr, right? Bobby Dorr.
Bobby Dorr. Yeah, so Bobby Dorr, his number 1 jersey was retired in 1988. You see it up around the ballpark, but yeah, he is the only player hit for the cycle twice.
Wow, that's crazy.
Several players have done it once. He's only do it twice. Yeah. I almost mentioned this, John. I read that book, The Girl Who Loved Tom Gordon by Stephen King. It was actually a really good book.
Oh,
and she really she listened to the games on the radio, and it was a lot of Red Sox themes in it.
No, that's cool. All right.
Can you name the last Red Sox pitcher to earn the win in their major league debut? So this would be their major league debut with the Red Sox.
Goodness. Buchholz?
Buchholz did win his major league debut, but there was somebody before or somebody since.
Oh. A rookie that has come up. Is it a starter?
Yes.
Yeah, because I didn't know if it would be like a rookie reliever that came in and randomly.
Yeah, no, it's the starter.
So more recently than Buchholz?
More recent than the Buchholz.
Dang.
It was 2015.
2015. So not Lester. Not. I don't know. I don't even have a guess.
He's on your favorite team now, Nick.
He's on my favorite team now.
He's on your favorite team now. Your Arizona team.
Oh, Eddie Rodriguez. No way.
E-Rod. Yep.
No way.
Eddie Rodriguez, May 28th, 2015 against Texas Rangers. He pitched 7 2/3 scoreless, gave up 3 hits, struck out 7. The Red Sox won the game 5-1. But yeah, so Buchholz did win his major league debut, but it was much earlier than E-Rod.
Dang.
All right. This one just struck me as funny that this was true. So here we go. When the Red Sox won the AL East in 1990, only one player hit more than 20 home runs. Who was it?
Mike Greenwell.
Great call, but not Mike Greenwell.
Oh, dang.
Another outfielder.
Was Rice still playing then?
Nope.
No, not 90. Another outfielder. Troy O'Leary. Too early for him.
Too early. He was a Red Sox. Remember the Red Sox twice. Came back later in his career.
I was like 5 when this happened, so let's see. Mo Vaughn's a good guess, but I don't think it's him.
Yeah, not Mo Vaughn. Relatively well-known Red Sox outfielder. Came back later in his career. Spent some time in Cleveland.
Trot?
No,
Not 90.
not 90.
I don't know, man.
Initials are EB.
Oh, Ellis Burks.
Ellis Burks.
Yeah, sorry, I ran over my dog's tail.
Yeah. It's a live show. Stuff happens.
Yeah. At least
Anyways,
the cat
yes.
didn't attack me.
That's legendary.
Yeah.
Ellis Burks. So in 1990, he hit 296 with 21 home runs, 89 RBIs. I was shocked that the Red Sox won the AL East with only one guy hitting more than 20. They had 3 or 4 guys hit 16, 17, 18, but only one guy over 20 was shocking.
Different game back then for sure.
Totally different. And that team was different too.
Yeah.
That team was a lot of, gaps and things like that. It was not a lot of power hitters. Back in the days of Bernansky and Greenwell and all right. We're going to move on from the trivia now, Nick. We're going to go to who is that guy. So,
all right.
For those who haven't seen this game before, I'm going to give some facts about the player, show a picture of the player, and Nick has to guess who that player is.
All right.
So with that, this player played for 8 seasons between 1990 and 1997. They played only for the Red Sox. Primarily played third base, but did play some second base and shortstop. He was best known for his all-out play and hustle that ultimately led to injuries that ended his career. Nick, who is that guy?
Oh my goodness. I totally should know this, and I'm drawing a blank.
We've mentioned him on the show several times. Not today.
It's not Scott Cooper. It's holy smokes, why am I struggling?
Third baseman about the same time.
I know. Tim Nearing.
Tim Nearing. That is Timmy Nearing. Career average of 282, 49 home runs, 250 RBIs, and a 12.7 WAR.
I have to get 12.7 WAR with those career stats. That's ridiculous.
I mean, he played, again, 7 seasons. He was only a part-time player for 3 or 4 of them, but a guy that was all out. He was all out all the time. And he eventually, it was just injuries piled up, eventually hurt his elbow, I think, and that was the end.
Yeah.
He was fun when he was there.
Yeah.
All right, Nick. This one I think is a little more challenging, but this is a good one. So, played for 21 seasons between 1978 and 1998. Played for the Rangers, Brewers, Astros, Red Sox, Blue Jays, Pirates, White Sox, and Giants. One-time ERA title winner, he had a 5.7 WAR in 1993 to lead the Red Sox. Best known for being the winningest pitcher to never make an all-star team or win 15 games in a season. Who is that guy?
It looks like a Temu Dennis Eckersley.
It totally does, but it's not. My initial reaction when I found the picture was, are we sure that's not Eck after a really rough night?
Goodness. Greg Harris?
Same time as Harris. So this is this guy was
8 though.
One of the top starters in the Red Sox rotation for the 4 years he was there.
And it was what, 78 to 98?
So he was with the Red Sox in the early 90s.
This is my week. I was like 5.
Maddox. It does actually look like Mike Maddox too, but it's not.
Yes. I don't know. I don't have a guess on this one.
Initials are DD.
Don Drysdale.
No, but you see the name, you're going to go, oh, right. All right, let's go. This is
Danny Darwin. Yes.
Career record of 171, 182, 3.84 ERA, 1,942 strikeouts, career WAR of 39.8.
Dang.
He was the number 1 or number 2 of the years he was there, depending on who was healthy. And but a guy who consistently just went out and pitched. He was around for a long time and was always just good enough.
Yep.
All right, last one. Played for 7 seasons between 1990 and 1997. Played for the Red Sox and the Royals. 2-time All-Star. Primarily played third base. Best known for hitting for the cycle in 1994. and he was the only Red Sox All-Star in both 1993 and 1994. Who is that guy?
Now is it Scott Cooper?
Now it's Scott Cooper. That boy. That is Scott Cooper. Average of 265, 33 home runs, 211 RBIs, and a 6.2 WAR. A guy who had 2 or 3 really exceptional seasons and then got hurt, and that was it.
Yeah,
was gone.
dang.
I used to love watching Scott Cooper play. He was he was probably the first third baseman for the Red Sox that I really remember watching.
Yeah,
and
Same.
just loved watching him play.
Yeah, same.
Wade Boggs was the OG. There's
For
no
sure.
argument there.
No.
So it's hard with the Red Sox. I've got to go like a little bit more obscure because we know
yeah.
so many of the guys.
Right.
But I focused on early 90s, figuring that wouldn't be so easy.
No. All right. Well, that will do it for our rounding third Boston. We will be back on in a few minutes to talk with Jesse LaCase, who is the owner of Maine Billets. And he was commissioned to construct the prototype for the torpedo bat. So it's going to be pretty exciting to talk with him. But again, thanks to everybody in the chat. Thanks for chiming in. Sorry about the dog yelp in the middle there. She's okay. But yeah, thanks for chiming in. Thanks for following along as always, guys. And we will see you next Sunday for hopefully a better week out of the Red Sox, and we can talk some positive things about them next Sunday at 8 p.m.
See ya.